Way, Danny.
I wasn't doing Mortal Kombat.
Good morning, everybody. Today is Friday, February 2nd, 2018. It's MMA Junkie Radio. Pre-show the show, before the show. Good job, Danny. That was stupid. You guys are singing different songs.
Totally missed what I was doing too because I joined in.
Dan was like, "Hey, you guys need to go strong because I need to do something else." And immediately jumps in.
Was it my fault you sang Mortal Kombat?
Do you know what song Danny was doing?
Yeah, it was the basketball introduction.
What is that called?
Your starting lineup. Although the best one was the Chicago Bulls one. Let's be honest, guys.
I have no idea what it's called. It's Jock Jams, isn't it?
No, Jock Jams is like for the whole. Let's see. I mean, is there even a way to Google something like that? It's a lot of to type, right? Basketball. Does anybody know? Anybody that's listening?
It's not
know
this?
What Danny?
Ladies and gentlemen, let's get ready to rumble!
Isn't it like a? I mean, that is the song, but what's the original song?
I have no idea.
Have you guys ever watched the Clerks animated series? They have the the jury.
I have it on DVD.
Yes, they have the jury as the NBA players like Reggie Miller and Charles Barkley, and they introduce the jury to that song. Like the jury introducing you. I got $5 in per diem. I wish jury duty would never end. So good.
What is this?
I loved that series.
So good, wasn't it? Underrated, right?
Yeah. Oh. It was so good. It was just like another Clerks thing.
I didn't think we could become better friends, but we just did.
I have it on DVD packed away somewhere.
You do.
Didn't he sound like Lopan right now?
one hung low, the Lost Warrior. Shout out to Stitch.
Coming up in a minute.
Yeah, we are.
Hey, it's Groundhog's Day.
Each hour.
It's Groundhog's Day. Yeah.
Each hour we'll be starting off with a guest. And it all just has to do with their availability. This is a fucked up time to start a show, but we're doing it because it's Super Bowl week and stuff goes down.
Coming up in 30. Am I calling somebody?
Yeah.
Yeah, you are.
You wanna give me their phone number and I'll get you guys in? And
you want to check your phone?
Did you text it to me?
Oh, you're fucked if you did.
I didn't get it.
Oh, really?
Can you send it again?
Oh,
yeah,
back on George.
Okay.
I mean, it might just be my reception back here.
Oh,
it's rough in the studio sometimes.
Oh.
Sometimes I get your stuff really quick. Sometimes it sends really slow.
Sorry.
Stand by. I'll call as soon as I get it, though. Stand by.
Oh.
This is your captain speaking. We are making our descent into Las Vegas McCarran Airport. On behalf of our crew, we'd like to thank you for flying MMA Junkie Airlines. Now please fasten your seatbelts and put your tray tables in your upright position because the descent is going to be a little bit bumpy.
Alright, Junkie Nation, it's time to roll, baby, on MMA Junkie Radio with Gorgeous George and Gold. This is what we do and why we do it, baby. All night long, we rollin'! Yes!
The MMA Junkie Radio revolution is upon us.
Can you dig it?
There's no escape. No escape. Through the vast frontier of cyberspace and through a sea of stars in outer space.
One small step for man, one giant leap for mankind.
We've solidified our combat communications stranglehold.
We are controlling transmission.
With the use of MMA Junkie Radio and SiriusXM satellite radio technology. MMA Junkie Radio. Commence transmission. Live from MMA Junkie Radio HQ in the fight capital of the world, Las Vegas, Nevada. Here are your hosts, Gorgeous George and Goes.
From the fight capital of the world, inside the beautiful Mandalay Bay Race and Sportsbook, you are listening to the MMA Junkie Radio Show, the only show that matters. I'm your host, Gorgeous George. With me, as always, is the devious and dastardly Goes, his co-host. To my left is the fight analyst, Dan Tom. And, of course, putting it all together back east is the show's producer, Danny Otto. What's up? Good morning, fellas.
Good morning.
It's Super Bowl week. We're getting closer to the big game. We also have UFC Fight Night 125. So lots of sports going down this weekend.
So much sports. I had to remind Goes that the Super Bowl was this weekend.
Oh my God! I don't know what we brought up the Super Bowl for, and Dan goes, "What is that?" You believe this guy?
Dan said that?
Yeah.
Stuck good?
Wow.
Yeah.
What is the Super Bowl, Dan?
No. He said, when is that?
Oh, when is the Super Bowl? Okay.
Yeah.
You know, Super Bowl was actually one of my more favorite than holidays when I was a kid, though. We used to have really awesome Super Bowl parties at my house where we'd have different rooms going on for different, depending on what team you were cheering. And thank you, George. You were talking about, the fun of betting on Super Bowls and having little games and stuff. I believe the other day you brought that up. And we used to do a similar thing of a big board, and they'd even let the kids get in on it. The adults would hand the kids, $20 to go throw in the pool and pick a spot on the board for me, kind of a deal. And
right.
So as kids, we turned on as degenerates quite early, as many Hawaiian families would do. It was a fun time though. So I do have a soft spot for Super Bowl Sunday. In all honesty,
to this day, I still don't know or understand how Super Bowl squares work. I've always heard people talk about them. I've never.
Well, I'm glad you brought it up, and I'm glad you brought up pools, because if anyone knows of one, I'd like to get in one. I'm in for 50, 20, 100, whatever.
What I'm talking about? The square?
Yeah, so the square goes is simple. You know how there's like a 1 through 10, 2, 8, 0, 4, whatever. And over here they'll write Patriots. And then on this side they'll write Eagles. And so over here they'll say like 1, 7. It's all the way it was drawn, right? These could be random. So at the end of the game, let's say it was Patriots 28, Eagles 19. Then you take the last number of each score. So the 8 and the 9, whoever had this square, let's say it was Goes, you win. If the final score was 30 to 27, Patriots, here's the 0 from 30, here's the 7. Whoever had that square wins. And so it's basically 100 squares.
Okay.
So when you go and buy it, you can't just go and go, luck. Oh, games usually end on 28, 24, 17. You can't do that. And go, give me the 8, give me the 7. You can't do that. You actually just go, oh, I'll write my name here, down here, right here. Give me, let's say it's a $10 square pool. You go, here's $40, and you write Goes. Dan goes, I only want one, and he writes it in the middle. Doesn't matter, because then they're gonna draw names, and they're gonna go, the first name is, it's a 2. The next one is, and so then you wind up looking and seeing if you have favorable numbers or not. So
it's all luck.
It is all luck, yeah. And sometimes like if you ever do get in one, if you do win, just maybe especially if it's a house party, maybe just tip the guy that put it together. Don't just run off like a rookie.
Don't tip too much.
It won't be,
will freak out.
No, it won't be the end of the world if you don't do it. I guess like if it's just some dumb dude that showed up, he doesn't know any better. But sometimes people at the Super Bowl party, it's just like a little bit of a courtesy. If it's one of those done on the internet, I mean, you PayPal'd your money in through a buddy and he PayPal's it back to you, then maybe hook up the buddy, or whatever. But because if you put in, I wouldn't. It doesn't really. All you can do is increase your chances, but if there's 100 squares and you buy 10 of them, then you do have a 10% chance to win. But
I'm gonna add to my bucket list. Discover a new type of betting game for Super Bowl or something.
Oh, okay.
Or March Madness or some kind of game. There's got to be some sort of game that you can create.
As long as it's not like one of those.
Do I sound like I'm getting sick? I sound different, don't I?
Oh, yeah, you do actually.
Little nasally.
You guys have no idea what I've been dodging for the last 2 weeks. Between everybody you've booked in studio, I almost think it's a joke. Everybody that you've booked has been sick. And then yesterday, as I was leaving, the NFL guy that sat here, he goes, "Oh, I'm just gonna fist bump you. Got a bad cold." I came in and there was one.
Oh yeah, he did say that. He did say that. Yeah.
And I had to get. It was dry. It was completely dry. So I had to get the antibacterial and pour it into the wipe and make it wet again. And I had just enough to kind of get this area, but it's been nonstop. Yeah. Everybody's sick.
No, it's true, man.
Everyone.
I'm good about I'm good about doing wipe downs, but I've been doubling up because of that reason. You're right. It's been insane.
I gotta make it through though.
Yeah, I think you will. I think you're like Wolverine at this point, man. Because I thought
I was next to him and he didn't get sick.
I thought I was Wolverine because I was the dude who's like when I went to this whole ordeal when it started. When I went to register, like whoa, they had like 2 houses ago, and it was like 2006 or seven. Like you haven't been here in a while. I'm like, yeah, I don't get sick. I'm like Bruce Willis from Unbreakable. Till this epidemic, as they called it, right? Is that what they told you?
You're gonna wake up from surgery and it's just gonna say breakable on your chest.
No.
Written in lipstick.
Oh, just like Untouchable.
Yeah.
Untouchable. Oh, Mr. Glass.
Dan, you normally don't get sick?
Yeah, I have a good track record.
So it's just been a bad year.
Yeah. It's not even a bad year, but I think just that run, that quote unquote vacation time where I got sick, it just kind of led to this multitude of problems where the viral thing that was going around, coughing, led to the hernia that I'm getting surgery for on Tuesday. And
that's what led to the hernia?
Yeah.
No way.
Well,
coughing that much?
Yeah, because, I mean, especially this specific style of hernia, umbilical hernia, it's very common in either babies or pregnant women. It's not common in men, much less men my age. Or rapid weight loss.
Every time he says
obesity,
umbilical, it does freak me out a little bit. Umbilical, I'm like, ooh.
You know what? With the pictures,
get it done. It sounds painful.
Yeah, with the pictures that pull up, mine looks less bad, but it's more on the complicated side. And then possible, we thought it was a hiatal hernia, which was also could be caused by a similar thing, which is more acid and digestion side, internal. But I think that might be more of a gallbladder issue now that we're getting things sorted. But anyways,
well, you're definitely not a woman. You're not a baby. So
and you're not pregnant, right?
Yeah.
I don't know. I'm looking.
You don't know if you're pregnant?
I hope not. I'm just whatever it is, George. Whatever it is, I hope I'm getting it all out of the way. Babies. All right, let's getting it out of the way at the beginning of the year.
Let's do this because our next guest has to get to practice soon, so we're cutting it close. His name's Cory Sandhagen, and he's 8-1 overall. He's coming off a win versus Austin Arnett at UFC on Fox 26 in Charlotte, North Carolina. That was the card that was headlined by Brunson and Jacare. Now, if you're saying, wait a minute, I heard that name recently, it's because he also fought at LFA 31 like a week prior. So you know how the UFC does it on Saturday and LFA does it on Friday. He got a win there as well. He got a win, and all of a sudden the UFC called him and said, hey, can you jump in here and fight? And he did. And let me tell you something. That's why some of these fights on the Fight Pass are important. I know a lot of you get lazy and you're only prelims and main card people, but that's when sometimes you can discover someone, right? And I'm not batting 1,000 either.
You're planting your flag right now?
Yeah, I'm not batting 1,000 either. But I sat there, I had my drink ready to go, the Fight Pass open, and all of a sudden this dude just starts fucking fighting like a Diaz brother, fighting like Mike Perry, fighting like Vanderlei Silva, and just walking like a zombie to the other guy, a little bit of Khabib, minus the wrestling. Just walking down this Arnett guy, and they're just throwing, and all of a sudden he starts digging into the body, and I was like, holy fuck, who the fuck is this guy again? I have to look him up one more time, and so I've been pumped up since then. It took a while to get him on the show, but he's on. It's Cory Sandhagen. What's up, Cory? How you doing?
What's up, man? How are you? I'm good.
Good. Welcome to MMA Junkie Radio. You're on with George Goes and Dan. What a debut for you at the UFC, man. You may have been stuck on Fight Pass, but I've been trumping your card all week. That was some amazing striking, my man, and what a first impression.
Yeah, heck yeah, man. Thanks. Yeah, man, I just went out and I did my thing. I've been waiting for a long time to be able to show the world what I can do, and it was nice to have it go the way that it went.
You're a patient fellow, because you're right. So once I was pretty sure we were going to have you on the show, I started scanning through your Twitter, and going back to 2016 December, this guy's already saying, hey, Sean Shelby, I'm ready. Let's do this. And the other guys like Matt Brown and Dillashaw, they're retweeting, so they believed in their guy. You waited a whole year, but you're here, man. You won at LFA, and then the following week, the UFC. I know that year must have sucked because you felt like you were ready a long time ago, but how did it feel, after those 2 wins back-to-back, the amazing debut?
It was cool, man. I lost in January, which set me back. I thought was going to be a lot more. I didn't think that I'd get the call to the UFC in early January. I knew that it was going to come eventually, but I'm glad that it happened a little bit earlier. That I'm a little bit more healthy, a little bit younger, but yeah, it was cool, man. I had a really good year last year as far as working on my mental game and just being a mental monster. that was kind of where I lacked a little bit. And from that one loss, that I learned you don't really like the best skilled fighter in there isn't always going to win, because I believe that that's always going to be me. But you gotta be strong in the brain, and that's I worked on all last year, and now I'm putting on performances like I know that I can. So it's awesome, dude. I'm really pumped to see where it goes.
And let me tell you something. You know, I know it's too soon. We don't just want to get out of control here or anything like that. You know, anoint you as the next Messiah. But I'm telling you, I watched a lot of fights. We've been doing this show for a long time, and I was telling the guys, unless this guy's a dud, you know, behind the mic or something like that, you keep fighting the way you are. I'm telling you, you're going to have a legion of fans. The promoters are going to want to feature you in the cards, you know, in higher positions, and I think you're gonna have some great fights coming. You know, late 2000s. You know, you're probably gonna get another guy coming off a debut win sometime in the spring or summer. But it'll just keep going. I think you have a really cool trajectory. Your style of fighting, man, you're just in your opponent's face.
Are you signing him right now?
Right now, man. This guy's
Junkie Radio. You're signing him
right now. He's. I'm telling you, he's gonna be a big name. Watch.
Cory, just so you know, some of the names that we've done this to before: Demetrius Johnson.
Yeah.
Right. Remember when he walked in? Nobody knew who he was.
Yeah.
Daniel Cormier.
Daniel Cormier was another
King
guy.
Mo Lawal.
Uh-huh.
He's joining a very big group.
Well, remember when we hung up the phone with Conor McGregor? When Conor McGregor was on our show, he wasn't even a UFC guy. He was a Cage Warriors guy. I don't know if you remember Cage Warriors, but they used to be on MMA Junkie, and we had him on. Now, his fighting style wasn't what it was just yet, but he was pretty amazing with his interviews. But I'm telling you, this dude can fight.
Send him his contract.
But that in your face style, you know, like I was also mentioning, you took some shots as well. I remember a 3-piece combo that Arnett hit you with, and you took it like a champ. But of course, that can be kind of, some would say, a little reckless and dangerous, and I'm sure you'll tighten that up. But the walking the guy down style is amazing.
Yeah, thanks, man. Honestly, dude, and it's something that I need to work on, but when I'm beating someone up kind of bad, I lose a little bit of respect for him. So that's when I got caught that one time, and my coaches kind of got on me a little bit about that. But yeah, dude, my style's just like in the face. Like I'm touching and poking the whole time. I'm looking for reactions from them, so I can tee off and score hard shots. But yeah, dude, I love my style to be not to sound too prideful, but I've worked really hard to develop this style. And I was telling my coaches even before when we were talking about, yeah, man, this is going to be a performance of the night. This is going to be a performance of the night. And we started talking, and I was like, dude, if I go out and do what I do, every night could be a performance of the night for me. That's just how my style is. So I'm just glad that people are enjoying it.
Definitely. Now, you have a kickboxing background, right? Is that what started all this, your migration to MMA?
Kind of. That was the most natural thing for me. That's what I enjoyed the most. I started at Nate's Gym, High Altitude in Aurora, when I was a teenager, so it was a while ago now. But yeah, I don't know. I just picked it up very naturally. I won a couple of amateur North American titles, and then I fought in Italy for a WKA world title. So yeah, that was what I picked up most naturally. But I think I'm really well rounded. I've incorporated my game enough to where it can go anywhere, and I'm cool with it.
And tell me a little bit about, you know, your grappling game overall. Again, on the Twitter, I see you choking somebody out, or at least applying the rear naked choke. But how much have you worked on the wrestling and the Brazilian Jiu-Jitsu?
Well, I just got my brown belt, I think, a couple months ago in Jiu-Jitsu. I've been doing Jiu-Jitsu for 8 years now, so my ground stuff is good, too. My wrestling's good. Like I said, though, like, I'm not going to be the best jiu-jitsu guy. I'm not going to be the best wrestler, and I might not even be the best striker. But incorporating all of those things together into one style, I believe I'm going to be the best at. So my jiu-jitsu and my wrestling is both incorporated in, or I guess fine-tuned to be an MMA style. But yeah, I mean, I'm good at jiu-jitsu.
Cory Sandhagen, our guest here.
I'm a humble guy, man. I'm bad at promoting myself, but yeah, I got solid jiu-jitsu, solid wrestling too.
Cory Sandhagen, our guest here on MMA Junkie Radio. He's coming off a win over Austin Arnett at UFC on Fox 27 in Charlotte, North Carolina. All right, goes. What do you have for Cory?
Cory, awesome opportunity. I'm sure it's a highlight of your life, but was there anything about the experience that you didn't like?
No, not one thing, dude. I enjoyed every single moment.
You soaked it in?
Yeah, man, I soaked it in. The week before, I was staying at the Quality Inn in Arizona, and then the next week I was staying at the Renaissance. And I was soaking that in, having a nice hotel, and the UFC taking care of me, and yeah, I was just soaking it all in, dude. The walkout, Bruce Buffer calling my name, I was there for all of it, man, and I was enjoying all of it, dude. It was so cool.
Awesome. Now you had 3 straight decisions, but then you had 3 straight stoppages. Was there a certain adjustment that you made, or was it just kind of the way the fights played out?
Yeah, I made adjustments. It was 2 things. It was one, I used to go in there and I used to be really timid, and I used to just try to get the win. I didn't really care how it happened. And I would kind of fight not like myself, just to score wins. But after working with my coaches and talking and stuff, we decided that, like, I'm not gonna get into the UFC by winning a bunch of decisions. I gotta start finishing people. And then at about the same time is when I started to work with my sports psychologist and touch up on my mental game so I could go out and perform the way that I know that I can. And that's when we started finishing people. So gonna keep that ball rolling, hopefully.
Timid would be the last word I'd describe this fella.
It's
but I've only seen him the one time, that's for sure.
Cory, C-O-R-Y, right? I'm writing up the contract right now.
Oh, no, it's C-O-R.
Yeah.
Okay, so yeah, I'm going to send that over right now.
Yeah, all right, Dan Tom, our fight analyst, what do you have for Cory Sandhagen?
Well, Cory, if you're worried about like not promoting yourself, just sign up George here, because he is high on you. But I gotta say, I gotta co-sign with him, man. I gotta co-sign with him, and George has been around and seen a lot of fighters, and he when he gets excited, you know, it means something. And as for me, I watch a lot of fighters and watch a lot of footage, and I'll be honest, sometimes, you know, I can be a little okay, or who's this guy I gotta look up now, right? Who is this Cory Sandhagen? And when I looked him up even before his last fight, studying him coming into his UFC debut, I was jazzed, man. I was jazzed, and I almost thought you had almost a traditional martial arts background. Almost reminded me of almost like a Justin Scoggins-ish in the way you kind of went in and out. But that shifting kickboxing style, it's beautiful to watch. So first of all, just bravo, Cory, on the performance, man.
Heck yeah, thanks, man. I appreciate that.
No worries, man. Can you tell me then, like you were explaining earlier, you know, your philosophy of being well-rounded, and we're seeing that more, and I second that. That's awesome to hear. But do you have any fighters or any, you know, coaches or anybody around you that you role model off of, whether it's your style or just for inspiration in general?
Yeah, Christian Allen I started working with him the day that I walked into the gym. He used to be a ninja too, man. We all used to be at Grudge a long time ago with the Easton's Grudge fight team. I grew up, or not grew up, but I was raised in this sport in a tough room. Dwayne Ludwig, Brendan Schaub, Nate Marquardt, Shane Carwin, Christian Allen, Elliot Marshall, all those guys, and Cody Donovan, all in the one room, you know. So I was it made me get good really quick. But yeah, Christian Allen is he's my head coach. He's the one that I've always looked up to, and I've always tried to get my style to be more like. He's kind of transferred into a coaching position the last couple of years, but our whole team is about efficiency, man. Like we don't BS and we don't make any stupid moves and all of this and that, and we don't try to look cool. We just do things efficiently. So I describe Elevation Fight Team style as a lot of motion, a lot of being safe, a lot of being outside the shoulders, and a lot of just efficiency, whether it's on the ground, whether it's wrestling, whether it's striking. We're just efficient, and we go out and we're making killers over there, man.
Cory, how close are you to being a full-time fighter? Yeah, I think you mentioned to me you have a job, right? You know, is it a full-time job or part-time job?
No, it's a part-time job. I usually only work Wednesdays, Fridays. That's actually where I'm on my way to right now, but no, I enjoy my job. I work at Mount St. Vincent's in Denver. It's just a residential treatment facility for kids that have been abused and neglected in the past. So we just kind of make sure that the days are as easy as we can make them for the kids that had a tough card dealt to them. But no, I don't think I'll quit that, man. I really enjoy that job. It kind of gives me a little bit more purpose in the world. So I'm going to stick with that. And then I don't know if it gets in the way of fighting too much, then maybe I'll quit. But nah, I enjoy my job.
Yeah. No, man, that's commendable. That work you do with the kids. So yeah, maybe you should stick with that. I'm sure you'd be an inspiration to them and to others. And again, man, that was one hell of a debut. I can't wait to see the next one. How soon do you want to fight? I know a lot of fighters sometimes want to rush and get into the next one. Others want to maybe take their time and continue to sharpen skills.
I'll fight whenever. I actually just found out this morning that I broke my thumb in that fight. So I have to figure that out. I didn't know that either. It doesn't feel like it's broke, but I guess it is. Nah, I don't know. Hopefully I can jump on that May card with Neil in Chile. I think that'd be cool to do another little team trip. I had Dover out with me last week, but that would be cool. But again, I gotta wait to see what the scene specialist guy says. But
what card is that?
We'll see. The one in Chile in May.
Chile, the country of Chile.
Yeah.
Oh wow. Okay. Cool.
Yeah, man. I want to travel the world.
You want to be a traveler then, huh?
Yeah, if I can, you know. I'll take whatever though, man. Honestly, I just really enjoy being in that cage. So wherever it is cool with me.
Is there a certain fighter you'd like to fight, or are we not there just yet? I mean, you know what I mean? Like,
nah, I'm not there yet, man.
Okay.
I'm gonna take it one day at a time. I'll take whoever though. You know, I really believe that my style is the best for MMA. And
it's an exciting style, man. I'm telling you. Hopefully they get you on like the Fox Sports 1. You know, they have their main event before they turn it over to the main card. Or maybe just start you off on a main card. I just think performances speak high, and after that performance, you're the type of fighter I'd like to, you know, let the crowd put them in a good mood, you know, for the co-main and the main. So that was some good work you did out there, and I hope it pays off for you. But first, get that thumb healthy.
Yep. Thanks, man.
All right, thanks for the time. I know you got to get to your gig, but really it's nice to meet you. Appreciate you squeezing us in, and we'll talk to you soon.
Yeah, cool. Right on, guys. Anytime, all right?
All right, take care. We'll see you.
All right. Yep, you guys have a nice day. Bye.
You too. Follow him on Twitter at Coors_Life, and that's CORS_LIFE.
Pretty solid dude.
Yeah.
Fuck yeah. I mean, that was really a good spot. Exactly. Him working with the kids.
Mm-hmm.
In no way is he in a rush to call people out. And how tough's that guy? He doesn't know he has a broken thumb? Holy cow. I mean, if I have a hangnail, I'm telling everyone, oh, look at me. But, serious. I can't say anymore, otherwise people think I have a crush on the guy. And I'm just telling you, I sat there, and there's a lot of times where I'm watching Fight Pass, and I'm like, oh, man, let's just get to the good ones. You know, sometimes it's just veterans that have been around for a while, so I'm into it because it's their names. They establish themselves. They deserve that. And sometimes when it's like a no-name, just someone you haven't heard of, and I watch a lot of LFA, so I either miss the fights he fought in, or maybe they're decision fights that I tuned out of, but no one that fights that style makes me change the channel. And all of a sudden he comes out, goes. Did you catch it?
Not live.
You gotta see it, man. He was just digging to the body. I mean, just
the knees and
he was throwing everything. It was like Arnett got his sister pregnant and is not taking responsibility for the baby or some shit like that. He was going after him like that, or like he was an enforcer and he owed him money or something, and he just needed to prove a point. Now again, Arnett was game. He didn't just roll over. Eventually, he got his butt kicked. Arnett threw some stuff at him too, but I was like, wow, this is cool, you know. And I was really just patting myself on the back for taking these Fight Pass fights a little serious, because sometimes I'll tell guys, I'll go, you know, I'm gonna walk the dog or grab a bite to eat, and I'll just catch up through prelims, and he'll let me know if Fight Pass was worth it or not. But that one was a good one.
I love that's where it goes. He got his sister pregnant. Like if you see some guy getting beat up on the street, you just like, guy should have wore a rubber.
Well, no, got the sister pregnant, but then he doesn't want to have anything to do with the kid too. There's a second part of it, you know.
That's great.
I wouldn't want anyone to just go out and beat up the guy that gets
comparison.
their sister's pregnant. I mean, you know.
But yeah, man, I co-sign with you. That was an exciting performance, man. Like just watching the guy gets you pumped, and to hear that he's like was so mature like that, it all makes sense.
Pretty good, right?
But it all makes sense though, because what he was saying of growing up around that area to have those pros and stuff around you. I mean, hell, I didn't even compete or pursue that path like these guys did, but spending all the last decade at Extreme Couture, seeing the guys come through, and just spending even the limited time and interactions that I've been lucky enough to, it builds and grows. It rubs off on you. So I could only imagine for an actual pro like that, a young kid growing up in that, how beneficial that is.
Yeah.
Wow.
Yeah. All right. So like I said, we're starting off each hour with a guest. Our other guest is going to be Bert Watson, but we won't get to him till 7:30 a.m. Pacific, 10:30 a.m. Eastern time. So we still got time. We can do some calls, 866-522-2846. This is an early edition of MMA Junkie Radio, and this is the last time we'll do that, at least for, foreseeable future.
Maybe
whatever.
March Madness, right?
Yeah, maybe March Madness. We get displaced every once in a while just because we're team players, and this is a really, really nice piece of real estate here within the MGM Resorts family. We're in the... For a lot of you that don't know, we broadcast from the sportsbook in the Mandalay Bay Resort and Casino. So oftentimes other shows want to come in here and just, if they couldn't get to the Super Bowl itself, they just want to be in Vegas. And so they'll kindly ask, and we always work with them. I don't think we've ever not said no, because they're our family. So cool. So they actually will roll in here right after this show's over, and we either had the option to go early or go later. We chose earlier.
This morning, by the way, you guys may have to update your keys over at the security thing, but I had to go do that. And when I came back, there was this two guys that were standing in front of the studio, and they're just staring. And I kind of walked by them really slow because I just wanted to see what they were about. And I heard one of them go, "Wow, that's so cool."
Oh, really? They have the studio?
And I thought about, he's right. Just the fact that you can come in and do the show and have a place like that in a casino is pretty cool.
And wait till the Raiders come to town. That's going to be something as well, to have an NFL. Well, I guess it is.
They updated the sign today.
It's a Las Vegas stadium. It's a stadium that's going to be built for many things, but primarily the main tenant will be the Las Vegas Raiders. But I think that's going to change a lot of things that go on with this sports book. I think there's going to be changes in the sports book. Nothing's official, but you just hear little whispers around.
The Tupac song cues
around here.
Tupac song changes cues.
Yeah. So let's get this break out of the way, and then we'll come back and take some calls. And again, second hour of the show, we'll talk to Bert Watson, the former site coordinator for the UFC. Great friend of the show. If you haven't heard, he released a video yesterday. He was, listen to me now, he was battling cancer, but he has defeated cancer. He's a cancer survivor. And he wants to share his story because he wants people to be proactive, especially gentlemen that are getting older, especially African American men that are getting older. We'll tell you more about that when we come back. It's MMA Junkie Radio on Sirius XM Rush 93.
feature octagons, rings, and square circles on SiriusXM Rush 93 and the SiriusXM app. Mixed martial arts, boxing, pro wrestling, and so much more. We are SiriusXM Rush 93. Listen anytime on the SiriusXM app.
Are we on?
Yep.
Okay. All right, Facebook chat. Shout out to Raimundo Martin, Jason Ford, Raul Garcia, Aaron Menard. Haven't seen him for a while. Ray Perez. Why the show early? Because we have a
Guys are clear?
It's Super Bowl week and another show's coming in. They asked if they could use the studio. We
Why is
adjusted.
he typing like a caveman?
Ray Perez?
Yeah. Why the show early?
Why show early? Did I miss something? Yeah. Ahmad Daoud. He is an Indonesian. How you doing, Ahmad? Good evening back to you. It's morning for us, but it's evening for you. Daniel Fajardo, always chilling in the chat room.
Congratulations, new baby.
Congrats.
And if there was ever the day for
Yeah, baby.
Showtime, isn't his thing always we roll in the chat? Why wouldn't he do that today?
Yeah.
We have Bert
He did.
Watson on. Oh, he did?
Oh, he did? Okay.
He did.
What in the hell?
Oh, my bad. Yeah.
That was good, Dan. That sounded just like him.
What in the hell?
Let's see here. Gavin McCarron's in there as well. What are they chatting about? Any questions? If you guys have questions, shooting them on over. We'll try and check it out.
Oh,
George
wait,
Gonzalez. Can
Yeah.
anyone tell me why they're on early in the morning? Well, guys, we said it all week, and I'll say it again. There's a Super Bowl show. They're cruising in here. So we're just adjusting just for yesterday and today. Back to normal start time on Monday. But every preview, every morning on MMA Junkie Radio, it'll tell you who's on, what time.
Back in a minute.
And so it's there.
Look, we have no problem with that question, George. Just next time when you post it, just start it with, "Hey everybody, I'm really lazy," and then say what you have to say.
Yeah.
And then there'd be no
It's
issue.
true.
Can I make a quick correction?
Sure.
Today looks like it's the first time Showtime did not type.
What's up now?
David Lee, shout out to
got
you.
so used to it.
Josh Hernandez, shout out to you as well.
We are coming back in 30.
I'll check the YouTube chat later.
Shout out or anything.
You want a shout out, Danny?
I said I didn't get a shout out. I typed something. In the chat.
Shout out to Danny Okers.
With that full type.
Who?
Danny, what did he type? Let's just see if it's even worth anything right now.
He just says hi or something.
Coming back.
That's it?
He doesn't say much, no. He's not even in there.
Wop bop loom bop lop bop bop to the boot, oh to the boot, oh
Hey, idiot. Yeah, you. Can you please tap that rather large fellow on the shoulder and tell him it's time for more MMA Junkie Radio with Gorgeous George and Goes? Thank you.
The best of SiriusXM Super Bowl coverage is all on one channel, Super Bowl 52 radio channel 145. Hear the news and interviews with athletes and entertainers from all of SiriusXM's channels, broadcasting from the Mall of America. It's Super Bowl 52 radio on channel 145. All right, let's take some calls. 866-522-2846 if you want to join in. We can do calls for about another 20 minutes or so. And then in about 20 minutes or so, or in about 25 minutes, we'll talk to our good friend Bert Watson, a prostate cancer survivor. I don't know how you took that news, Goes, but I saw it.
Scared me.
It scared me. It devastated me. It saddened me. And then to hear him say I'm free of cancer and I'm a survivor, it was like this roller coaster of emotions where now I was happy.
It's just a text message, and it's just, you could tell it's a video, and it's just him. And I'm thinking, oh my God, what is... Because Bert, yeah, it's just, I don't know.
You look good.
Yeah.
Good, yeah. Goes did bring something up to me here during the show, and I'll just check it real fast, and then we'll jump on the calls about some fighters that missed their weights. Eric Anders on the mark on his second try.
All right, so here's what happened. I guess the hotel didn't have hot water.
Really?
I don't know how much that plays into his issue, but even if it's a little bit, if that's what he needs, then I don't really put that on him. And he was able to do it, but two other people didn't make weight either. I think one of them was Pedro Munoz.
And then the Pachera screen fight.
Yeah.
The first time he came in at 187.9, and then the second time, 50 minutes later, he came in at 186. So that's good. And then who were the other guys that you guys just said?
One of the members of the Paceres Green fight and one of the members of Dotson and Munoz.
Michel Paceres
again,
23-2 overall, 7-2 in the UFC.
Like 3 out of last 4.
Like
he's the jacked. He's the little. He's jacked up, right?
Yeah,
that
guy? With Fabricio doing his face like planted on him. Yeah.
Yeah, and then so he missed at 161. Holy cow, that's terrible.
They didn't come close.
And then 2 fighters missed their marks on the scale. Pedro Munoz. Oh, you can't be doing that, Pedro. For the co-main event, he came in 4 pounds heavy. Dodson was on target.
But it looks like all the fights are still on.
So Munoz and Paceres, 20% of their show money, which will go to Dodson and Green respectively. So that's big. But Munoz, I mean, he's coming off a nice win over Rob Font. He's in Brazil. Now I know he lives in America, but still, when you're from a country that they're fighting in, I think you have the resources to go back 30 days early, finish up camp there, be with family, you know, and not have an excuse about the food, the travel,
the food though,
you know, anything like that. But more than anything, I'm not trying to clown the guy or anything like that, but he's in contender talk, Munoz.
Yeah. Oh yeah.
He's in that. He's maybe
5 in a row.
You have Dillashaw, and then you have Cruz because he was a long-time champ, and even though he's hurt, as soon as Cruz says I'm back, he's gonna get a big fight. Jimmy Rivera, who's got the amazing streak on. Cody Garbrandt, who was the former champion. So it's like those 4. And then you got Asun Sal's knocking on that door hard. Marlon Moraes is knocking. Munoz is kind of in that second 4 mix. So something like this, you just don't want you don't want to get on the bad side of the executives, you know, where it may cost you a possible pivotal, life-changing matchup, you know, where all of a sudden you're stepping in. Maybe it takes you now 3 fights to fight for a world title versus 2. So that was a big miss for him. Paceres, he's got a good record, but I still think he's just in that division that's so stacked. Maybe he can overcome it. But here's another thing: 20%. Let's say you make 50 and 50.
Brutal.
You just gave away 10 grand.
Paceres is. I think he's on a 5. I think they're both on 5-fight winning streaks off the top of my head, but they're both on winning streaks. And to your point, when you're trying to make a statement, and with the Dotson and Munoz one, it's kind of. It's neat, not neat, but the word I'm looking for. But it's ironic, I should say, because isn't this a similar situation that we're describing that John Lineker was facing? He was on a winning title record. They give him the platform spot against Dotson.
He was a flyweight?
He misses weight. No, bantamweight against Dotson.
Oh, yeah.
He misses weight in the headliner. He wins, but he misses weight. So kind of, even though he won, it kind of took the sting off of that streak and the case he was trying to build.
This happened to him at flyweight as well. There was a problem.
Dotson?
No, Lineker. There was a problem.
Oh, Lineker, yeah.
He wound up going up, but I think he was like on the verge. I think he either took McCall out of the mix or another fighter out of the mix, and in the process also missed weight, had to move up, and it just kind of juggled things, you know. When it was looking good, but Paceres, you know, that's a stacked division. Same thing. It hurts your wallet, and you have to lean harder on these guys, because they're both Brazilians. So it's like, hey, man, you're both in Brazil. I know it may not be the actual city they're from, but still.
It's an advantage.
You have an advantage over Dotson and who's the other opponent? Dotson and
Eric Anders, I guess.
No, not Anders. Desmond Green. They're both Americans, for crying out loud.
Dude, all I know is that being, it is an advantage, but that being said, you book me in Hawaii, I will not make weight. There's Zippies, there's Alan Lanao, there's W&M Burger.
But if you were 23-2 and 7-2 overall, you would have lost all those food fetishes.
That's true. Yeah, I wouldn't have got there.
The Dan Tom today, you know, more than likely, like you said, he probably won't, But if you had reached that point in your career, trust me, you would have lost all those.
I agree. I
wants.
definitely don't want to make excuses. But what do you guys think about this? Because it's when we see a lot of weight misses, you guys notice how it happens in bunches. It'll be on a bunch on one card, but then it won't happen for a while. Like that Australia card, our last Australia card. Remember, we had like 3 or 4 weight misses. And with the story Goes was sharing, which I read too with the hot water, these issues that happen. Again, no excuses. I actually don't have sympathy for the guys making weight. I have sympathy for the guys that have to fight the guys that miss weight. That's who I have sympathy for. But is there something tied there, guys? Is there something to that? Is there an excuse there? Maybe is there something you get a bunch of guys that miss weight?
I think when it's international, maybe you can tie. But again
it's the Brazilians.
The Brazilians.
I think one guy is in Brazil, Paceres. The other guy used to do Black House, and now he's at American Top Team.
Yeah.
So, you know, it's just the comforts of going back home that they should just know better. Now, if it was the Americans, not that you give them a pass, but you go, well, the travel, you know, I mean, I don't know.
If you're trying to figure things out.
Yeah, I'm just saying,
Right.
these are the guys that look at Munoz's record, 15-2-1, 5-2-1 in the UFC.
Yeah.
He's no joke, man, and neither is Praceres, so they should just better know him better.
And for Anders, and for what it's worth, he's never missed weight as an amateur or as a pro, and I think 16 combined bouts is what that equals to.
And he still went in there and made it.
And he
wound up making it on the second try. I think I don't know what happened behind the scenes, but that's not fair for someone to. He stopped at 161. The other guy went to 156. If I'm the 156 guy and I watched him step at 161, I'd go, I'll only take the fight if he gets down to 59. I'd still make him go down there and suffer some more. You know what? And still get his 20%.
Yeah.
Fuck all that.
Yep. I'm with you. Usually the coaches will be the ones to step up and second that notion too, of watching it from the outside.
Let's talk to Dave from New Brunswick. What's up, Dave?
Hey, how's it going, guys? Dave from New Brunswick, the only bilingual province in a bilingual country. How's it going today?
Good. Yeah. Well, all right, so what's going on here? You're bilingual, and what's going on?
Canada's officially a bilingual country because of French and English. And New Brunswick is the only officially bilingual province in that country because it's the only official bilingual French and English province.
Oh, in other words, in your province, they speak both languages.
Right. Actually,
because in Quebec, I know they speak French, so that's why I was trying to.
It's the only. Sorry, French. In Quebec, French is the official language of that province.
All right, but in your province, both languages are official.
Right. Basically, that means if you go to a government office, they have to offer you services in French or English.
How about that? All right. Why didn't they pick one or the other?
It's because of the region.
And that forced you, all kids in school, learn both languages, or are you unique?
Didn't force us, but I was early bilingual. Like I started in grade 1, early francophone, so that means I didn't have an English class until grade 5.
Hey Dave, can you say MMA Junkie Radio, the only show that matters in French?
So much for the bilingual guy from New Brunswick. That's it, Dave.
I'm thinking about show because MMA Junkie would be the same thing because it's proper. So MMA Junkie, Le Seul, the only Le Seul show.
Dave, I know about as much French as you do. All right, we're good. But what's your question? Now, please ask it in English, not in French.
I want to see if he gets it done.
Okay. Yeah, sorry. It's
I
work nights.
You guys don't know this, but the last time he went to a government's office, I actually have a clip of it.
Let's hear it.
You're what the French call les incompetents.
I don't know.
All right, Dave. So what's your question?
Silly question. So, world leader MMA match. Who do you have your money on? We got to take Vladimir Putin out of the role because he's the champion.
Yeah.
Whoever wins this tournament would face him.
Government leaders. Who do you know that's a tough government leader? Usually the Cuban dictator is probably like a boxer or some shit. Let's see here. I don't even know my world leaders.
No, hold on. The lady from
Germany?
Is it Ireland?
Oh.
She's kind of like a...
Not Germany, no.
She reminds me of... what's the guy from Lean On Me? Batman or whatever. She's kind of like that type of attitude.
Yeah, but she's not going to...
take her.
Against Putin? I think you're just...
No. Well, no. Who comes out of the tournament to face Putin?
See, I don't really know my presidents like I should. I know
Putin's
that
a beast.
Garcia's from Peru. I know that the one from Mexico, what's his name again? The little short guy?
I don't know.
He followed... Oh, boy. I should know it because I'm always reading about the cartel
Fox,
stuff.
then... what was that guy's name?
First it was Vicente Fox. Then it was... it doesn't matter. I'm doing just as bad as Dave was doing at the French question. So anyway, I don't know. I don't know who my world leaders are. Honestly, I guess I know Brazil used to have a gentleman named Lula. He looked pretty tough, but he was older. In fact, I think they removed him and had a female replace him. So wow, we sound pretty ignorant here when it comes to world leaders, but more than likely, I would say one of those Eastern European nations. Just they probably have the same background as Putin, like a wrestler or sambo or judoka or something like that. Just made it. Oh no! What the fuck are we thinking? Hold on, isn't one of the Klitschko's president now? Is Ukraine, or is he a senator?
No, he's not president.
He's not a president?
No.
Oh, I was gonna say, fuck up Putin, but yeah. So I don't know. We struck out. Sorry about that, buddy.
I got a historical one. I'll throw in. Teddy
Can I
Roosevelt.
answer my nominee?
Yeah.
Sure.
Let's hear it.
I just wanted to go with our world leader here in Canada, Justin Trudeau, because he was in a celebrity boxing match. He trained boxing for a while, and he was fighting a senator who's kind of like, like an American, upper senator. And the senator actually was not only a veteran, but grew up on a native reserve. So he was very, very tough. And Trudeau was very well versed in boxing and really withstood a tough storm until the other guy got tired. And then Trudeau took over and actually got a TKO in the first round for this celebrity boxing match. So
pretty impressive.
I'd throw my hat in for Trudeau.
Wait a Saskatoon second. Are you pulling our legs?
No way.
I could look him up. I could look him up, but I will say the selection that I quickly tossed in there. Our 26th president here, not to make it a countries thing, but our 26th president here in America, Mr. Theodore Roosevelt, was a boxer as well.
Guy, yeah.
And he was a boxer that lost vision in his left eye in a lightweight championship match. Very few people don't know that.
Yeah,
and that was before he took the presidency, amongst many other stories of him hunting and fighting and getting in drunken brawls.
The guy from the Philippines, he does not like drug dealers. And he's the one that's out there eradicating.
Oh,
so
yeah,
I don't know if
that guy's
he might have a nasty side
true.
to him or what. And how embarrassing is this goes? Garcia is not the president of Peru. It's that older gentleman who won the election like last year. I don't know. I don't remember his name, but Alan Garcia.
It doesn't matter.
Term is done.
It'll be somebody different in a year.
It could be.
These guys should all team up.
All right. Well, you got us back, Dave. We punked you on your French, and you got us back on political knowledge.
Yeah.
You did punk me on that, but can you test me again, please?
Okay.
Is somebody else gonna? All right. What do urine samples and Canadian beer have in common?
Urine samples and Canadian beer?
Yeah. The taste.
Higher alcohol content.
We got to move on, man. Thanks for the call. All right, let's go to Brandon in Louisville. What's up, Brandon? How you doing?
At this time, I'd like to read a short statement. I will take no answers, no questions afterwards.
Okay.
I apologize for my outburst on yesterday's show. It was unacceptable and not a true showing of my feelings towards MMA Junkie Radio, the brothers Garcia, or Dan Tom. Goes is a beautiful and artistic soul, and if my backlash towards him has hindered his creativity in any way, I'm truly sorry. In closing, thank you for providing me and my fellow listeners a safe place to positively express our feelings for the sport of MMA. And please, for the love of God, no more callers from Canada. What the fuck? World leaders in MMA who would fight me? What the kind of bullshit is this son of a... I can't believe I call in and I try to make amends and you motherfuckers set me off the edge again with this kind of bullshit. I'm trying to be positive and happy, and I swear to God, I'm just so...
I love Brandon's calls.
He sounds a little bit like the salesman in the RV salesman in The Simpsons.
Oh, yeah, huh?
Right?
Yeah.
I don't know if you're still doing those rankings or anything, George, but that for me that would
a caller ranking.
That would fire him up a
keep
couple
these
levels
points,
there.
but I have a stack of sheets this high of show notes. If I were to sit down for like a week straight, I could probably produce them.
Have you ever seen his book?
But his?
Do you have it on you?
By the way, this book, hey, speaking of which, last page today, guys, this whole thing is full with show notes, full of callers, what you guys talk about.
Like real quick.
Yeah. It's like Kevin Spacey from Seven. It's great. I'm going to start a new one on Monday. I have a nice, shiny new one, and if I survive my surgery, we'll be able to fill that one out, too.
Let's talk to David in Santa Ana. What's up, David? How you doing? David in Santa Ana, you there? Oh.
Hey, what's up, guys? Morning.
Hey, how you doing, brother?
Everything's good. Hey, so ever since they announced the Stipe versus Cormier fight, I've been thinking about the heavyweight division, and I've been reading the interviews, and I know Kane wants to come back and fight on the same card. I know that they just announced the Warden fight the other day.
Yeah, I'm glad you brought that up. Verdum and Alexander Volkov will be headlining the show in March, so thank you for bringing that up. Yeah, so what are you thinking, brother, that the winner of that fight has a little bit of clout?
Got a break.
Yeah, so I was thinking, so let's just say Warden wins.
Hang on to that thought. Hang on to this thought, David. Hold on. This whole new time is fucking me up. We're going to take a break. When we come back, we'll give you the plenty of time for you to talk, all right? It's MMA Junkie Radio on Sirius XM Rush 93. Stay close. We'll be right back. We'll continue talking to David from Santa Ana. We're from Santa Ana, for crying out loud, so we're going to give him some more time.
Oh man, go! I gotta
Charm,
get it out.
compassion, common sense. These guys have none of that. You listen to them, so you're no better. I am awesome, though. They are Gorgeous George and Goes.
David from Santa Ana, continue, sir.
So I was thinking, they just announced Warden the other day. Let's say he's victorious. That makes him 3 in a row. He's been pretty much complaining after each fight that he deserves the next title.
Right.
So do you guys think that should be enough?
I
or do you
think so.
They're going to try to play something against...
No, I think so. It was wise for him to fight because he gets the headline, so he keeps his name out there. And 3 in a row is still 3 in a row in the UFC regardless. So the other two, the one thing we were saying was, well, you know, he fought, let me see, Marcin Tybura was one of them. The other one was Walt Harris. And so that just didn't seem like enough while the other guys were players. While Ngannou was a player and Overeem was a player. But now that basically Stipe Miocic is kind of wiping everyone out, I believe that Verdum coming back, that could be enough to net him a shot. You see what I'm saying? Now, again, Cain Velasquez is that wild card. When he comes back, you know the UFC loves them some Cain Velasquez, so he could be a player. But who knows? Maybe Cormier wins, and then he just retires, and then they put Cain versus Verdum.
The wild card is the rematch.
Yeah, so, yeah, exactly. That could be another reason. So rather than wait, because he's 39 years old, I think Verdum's just doing the right thing by keeping busy. David, unfortunately, we're up against the clock one more time. But it's great hearing from someone else from Santa Ana. That's where we're from. And thanks very much for calling in, sir. I hope you have a nice weekend. Enjoy the Super Bowl and the fights. And that goes the same for everyone else. We still got an hour to go. We'll be right back. All right, here we go. It is the second hour of the MMA Junkie Radio Show. We're doing an early edition yesterday and today. So this is live if you're watching, YouTube, Facebook. And, of course, we got our replays on SiriusXM later on. We just had to adjust things for this week because of the Super Bowl. The latest line is New England Patriots minus 4.5. Philadelphia Eagles plus 4.5, obviously. And then the total is now up to 48.5.
Do you know what that 58 is?
So money's come in on the over.
All?
I don't know. Money's come in on the over, and money's come in on the Eagles. But the Eagle money has stopped coming in because it was like 6.5, and it went down to 4.5, and that's it. I think Patriot Sharps are waiting for it to drop to 3, if it will, and then they'll pound it. But so far it's settling in. I think that'll be a pretty solid number. We'll see how it works out. Right now we're joined by Bert Watson, former UFC site coordinator, good friend of the show, member of Junkie Nation, former Marine, husband, grandfather.
Goes Jitsu Hall of Fame member.
Just all around great guy. Wow, what a turn of emotions that I experienced yesterday when I got a text from Bert Watson along with what I saw on social media. He is now a cancer survivor, but when the video started, I thought Bert was informing us that that things weren't. It was weird, man. It was really,
I got cold
difficult.
And yeah,
I thought we were receiving bad news, and in the end, it was good news. And I had a nice conversation with him, and he wants to share everything he went through. And so he's doing it with us here on the MMA Junkie Radio Show. He joins us now on MMA Junkie Radio. Hello, Bert. How you doing?
I'm trying to make it, baby. How about yourself?
Well, we're doing better now, but for the first 30 seconds of your video, we weren't sure how we were going to be doing because you're like family to us.
Wow, and just sitting here listening to how that was received or how you received it, it kind of told me how everybody else received it, and man, that's kind of heartwarming to even hear, because that's what you do with family. That's how you feel when you get a phone call from family at 3 o'clock in the morning. You're like, uh-oh, this can't be good, and I'm hearing that that's kind of the emotion that you guys had yesterday, and man, it's heartwarming, but yeah, I went through some situations the last year and a half or so that were totally unexpected to me, but it happened, and I've always been a person that when situations are put in front of you, they're put in front of you for you to accept and handle and to kind of keep moving. And that's what happened, and I was a bit taken back, shocked a little bit, and had really no idea. With my travels with the UFC and my time, I traveled so much, man, that, I had to do things when I had to do it. So I never really had any type of scheduled time that I could go to the doctor or get checked up or hug my family or kiss my wife but I made time to go for my grandchildren's functions. I found a way to do that, Mm-hmm. But so when I left the UFC, which now has been almost 3 years or close to 3 years, I had time because I was in between gigs to go and get tested. And I did. I went and got what I call the old man test, because I'm an old man. So I went to have that test done, and I went and, they cleared me. They did, all of my vitals, and then they did blood work, and they did everything. And everything was good. And this was 2.5 years ago. Well, since then, I have no idea. I'm kind of going through some things and had a little bit of downtime. And I said, you know what? I'm going to go check again because it's been a couple of years.
Right.
Well, I went back and I got checked, and I got tested, and a week later I got a call from the doctor, said, you know what, you need to come on back in here, because we just kind of saw some things on the test we need to talk to you about. I went back in there. Now, mind you, this was a year and a half later. I went back in there, and he said, listen, we're looking at your PSA level, and your PSA level has gone up to a little over 5. And I really didn't know what that meant. I know my PSA level when I went before was like about 0 or close to 1. He said it's gone up to 5. So he said, so we need to do a biopsy. Yuck. That was my first thought, you know, because no man, you know, or no guy likes to do that, you know, to do that biopsy. But I did it. They took the biopsy. They called me back about 2 weeks later. I went to the office, and he said, okay, here's what we need to do. There's chemo, there's surgery, or there's radiation. And I'm like, for what?
Yeah, I was going to say, that's the way he broke it to you?
Well, we're that kind of. This doctor's been my doctor forever. We're friends. So as opposed to
he didn't want to say the C word, I guess.
Right.
Okay.
Obviously he didn't. He said, "Okay, Bert, here we are. Here are your options." And he broke it down. He said, "There is chemo, there's radiation, and there's surgery." And I'm looking at him. I'm like, for what? And he said, well, you know, your test come back and you have cancer. And, you know, I just looked at him. I just thought, I said, okay, now, I know it wasn't a joke, but again, I said in my head quickly, you know, bedside manners, you know, God damn. But then, at the time, I had just, you know, and I'm not trying, I don't want to string violins here because I am still Bert Watson, baby, and I am still rolling.
That's right.
But at the time, my brother had just kind of, out of nowhere, died on us. Had COPD, had a case, and died. My mother had got a stroke and was sick and was in the hospital. Now, this was all last December. So my family was dealing with my brother passing away and my mother having a stroke and in a nursing home. And I went to the doctor and found out that I had cancer. And my head was like, whoa, prostate cancer. What the hey? But because of my mother's condition, I couldn't explain that to my family because there was, I don't want to say priorities, but everything else was being dealt with, so I put mine on the back burner. But what I found out with prostate cancer, number one, it's hereditary, and number two, that it's prevalent in African-American men. So I had to tell my son. So I did. I broke the news to my son. Now, this was around the end of the year, and coming up into January or February, I found out, and I had to tell him. But again, here's my mother in a hospital, sick, and I knew she was dying. But broke it to my son. But I have 3 daughters who have children. So we're talking about March, April, coming on to Mother's Day. I was not going to deliver that news to my daughters for Mother's Day. So I had to, again, suppress it. So when I could share that with my family, my daughters, it was roughly last June or July. By that time, I had already started my treatment.
Wow.
I didn't share it with my work, with anybody, because I just couldn't.
And if you'll allow me, Bert, first of all, for those that are listening, the PSA test that he's talking about is the prostate-specific antigen. And prostate cancer screening, very important, especially, some say after 40, 45, 50. So definitely, like male like myself, probably needs to do that every year going forward, or at least every 5 years, you know, something like that, depending on who you talk to. But please look into that. Also, listen to what Bert's saying about the timeline. the Junkie Gathering last year in May. This man shows up, travels across the country to be with us for our 10-year anniversary, 2,500 shows. Didn't say a word to any one of us, and still gave us full Bert Watson. I mean, wow, that's incredible to hear, bro. We would have known back then. I would have loved to have given you a hug and positivity
out to you.
Yeah, but you know.
Yeah, and I know you guys would have.
You're an incredible human being.
You know, at that time, I had to be stronger than I really knew I had, and I had to. And yes, it's very prevalent from 45 and above, and especially African American men. But our community, the MMA community, you know, and MMA fighters, the majority are men. And everybody, I said in my video, I have a video that's been put out now, because since finding out and wanting to get the message out, I joined up with an organization called Zero Cancer, the End of Prostate Cancer, which I'm getting the message out, and I'm getting a word out, you know, to get tested. But everybody knows somebody, and everybody loves somebody. I want to be the person to get the message to them, to touch somebody and let somebody know. Go get tested. Seriously. It takes 5 minutes, if that. And prostate cancer is something that men don't want to go and get chest checked or get tested. But you do it once, and once you do it, then every year it's about blood tests. You go back and you get a blood test. But that stuff stuck up on me in a year and a half, man, and I had no idea. And, you know, if I didn't go back and check, I might have been in a little bit of trouble.
Yeah.
In fact, I know I would have been in trouble, because it shot up to about, you know, a level of 5 very quickly on me. So, you know, I'm reaching out to my family. You guys are my family, and all of you are my children, because I'm older than all of y'all. But I want to get that message out, and I want the Junkie Nation, all the people in the Junkie Nation, not just the men, and I know you guys have got female listeners. Talk to your dads, talk to your brothers, talk to your uncles, talk to everybody. You know, go get tested. It's 5 minutes, man, and it'll definitely it saved my life.
Yeah.
You know, but somebody upstairs jumped on me and said, "Bert, go get that test."
That's right.
So,
and now you're 100% cancer free.
100%. I'm a cancer survivor.
Wow,
I went
awesome.
back 1 year. I went back December 15th. I got a word, you know, because they did the test and they went back. And I said, you know what, let me just wait till January to make sure. So I waited a month to check it again, and they checked it, and he told me, you can go ahead and tell your family that you're cancer-free. And, you know, man, it's good to say that. I'm proud to say it, but I'm even more so now to share that message and to share this story with everybody, you know, and to be a voice for it. And I can tell you, I'm going to do that, man, because I work with all men, athletes and guys, you know, and we mature. Everybody's not as old as me, but you know what? You want to live to get to be that old.
That's right.
So go get tested. You guys been tested lately?
No, I haven't. No, I have not.
Oh, well, you know what?
But I'm due for a full physical, and I think that's just. I remember the last time I got a physical, which was about 2-3 years ago at 45, and I looked at the doctor. Because at that time, he goes, "Well," and he knew what I was talking about. He goes,
Right.
"I think 50 and above is, you know." Because I thought it was 40, honestly. He goes, I think 50
Yeah,
and above.
45.
And,
45.
but, you know, so I actually said, well, then we'll wait till I'm 50. You know, I wasn't in a hurry to get it. But I'm 40.
Well,
I
you know
just
what,
turned
I'm glad
48, and actually, this it just needs to happen. I'm not going to sit there and just wait for 50 either. So I'm due for one, and I'm going to go in there and do it.
Say that. When you said you're going to wait for your physical, you know, I'm not saying a physical is great, but make sure you do that. Get your physical, but go get that PSA tested. I mean, medically, I don't want to separate the two. But don't wait until you feel or find the time to go get a physical to have that PSA tested. Go get that done right away, because that sneaks up on you quicker than maybe you have high blood pressure or you need to change your diet or something.
Right.
But, go get that done, man. Go get that done. So I am now, advocately, and I've reached out, and it's unbelievable. In the last 2 or 3 days, I've heard from George St. Pierre. I've heard from Rampage. I've heard from Tyron Woodley via text. Jay Glazer. I've heard, man, and I'm so thrilled to hear that. But if you don't mind, I just want to make sure that I am supporting Zero Cancer, the end of prostate cancer. And it's zerocancer.org/Burt. And what that does is it's a fundraiser, and it helps to raise funds for guys who, while I went through my treatment, there were guys that didn't have a way to get to it, to get to the treatment, to dress, you go there, you obviously take your clothes off, you got to have on clean underwear and things like, there's certain things that you take for granted that people need that they don't have access to, and it's just about getting even bus fare to get there to get tested, help, awareness, knowledge, and this organization, zerocancer.org/Burt, they've got me coming in on February 26th up in Alexandria, Virginia. They got a seminar, and they've asked me to speak a couple of times about it, and I'm thrilled. I know I'm running my mouth, but I am happy to be alive and happy to still be rolling, baby, and talking to you guys.
No, yeah, by all means, man. This is very educational, and Burt's giving out the website, zerocancer.org/Burt. You can follow them on Twitter also, as well as Burt. Burt is at Bert Watson for real, Zero Cancer at Zero Cancer, with the hashtags Cancer Prevention Month and prostate cancer. And so what we're talking about is Burt is a survivor, but early detection is very important when in regards to prostate cancer. And just because you're 38, you don't have to wait till you're 40. Just because you're 42, you don't have to wait till you're 45. And like myself, 48, I'm not going to wait till 50. I am going to go get this checked sooner rather than later. What do you have for Bert Watson?
I got both of your cell numbers, and I'm going to tell you something. I'm going to call you back in a couple of weeks, and if that's not done, I'm taking another trip out there.
Okay, I don't want to I don't want to mess around, because the Bert the Marine will come out if I mess around too much. Right? So what do you have for Bert Watson?
Bert, I know you took it upon yourself to go get that test run and all that, but what about somebody who hasn't taken that test? Are there like signs or in between tests? Are there signs to look out for?
Well, I didn't have any real signs. At some point, I had a little discomfort, and I thought maybe it was my workload, my work schedule, and possibly, I do a lot of screaming and yelling, and I was getting a little discomfort down there. So I thought then, I said, let me go check this because it's a little different. Now, I don't know if that was the signs of it happening, but that kind of almost prompted me to go. But the scary thing is that it only took a year and a half for that stuff to creep its way back through. So the sign is that it comes up at any time. So without waiting to get a sign, go get tested and get checked.
The whole ordeal that you went through all that time, like George said, we couldn't really pick up on too much. You seem like the same Bert that we knew all the time. When it's time to perform, you perform, and you always answer phone calls, answer texts. But what was that like for you emotionally? What did you do to kind of deal with that? Because early on, you didn't really have too many people to talk to about it, right?
I could only talk to my wife and my son, but I think the situation with my mother, my brother dying and my mother getting ill, and I saw her deterioration because she was going through dementia and had a stroke. Seeing that helped me prioritize my feelings, if you could think of. I didn't suppress it. Because when I was alone, I let it go on my own. But the fact that I had to take her through, and losing my brother and my mother, I became the patriarch. Is that the right word? The oldest member of my family. Yeah. So I had to, I don't want to sound corny, but I had to be strong. But my personality, cancer, my prostate level was 5. My personality is 155. So I let that suppress everything else, and I kept moving. Because I also knew kind of in my heart that if I said something, I have a few friends and people that care about me, and I know that, and I know more so now over the last couple of years. If I had said something, it probably would have gotten out, and people would have been worried, and then I probably would have been emotional about it, and I ain't let nobody see me get emotional.
Yeah, wow. Dan Tom, our latest addition to the show, our fight analyst, he's got a question or two for you, Bert. So go ahead, Dan. What do you have for Bert?
Yeah, Bert, I was actually able to sit with you next to you on that Texas Day Brazil lunch when you came down here last year, and yeah, man, thank you for coming out. You were great, and I'll never forget that day and talking to you and you sharing stories with us. But man, you really hit home with me a second ago when you were talking about the schedule and these reminders in life to stop and check. And now I'm only on the beginning of my journey as far as into the deal of things. Whereas obviously you and George and Goes here have been on the grind for a while. But even in these last couple years of experiencing this now on this side of things, covering the sport, time can fly really fast. The weeks can go, and there's a lot of reminders in our personal lives, to our personal health even, that remind us that, hey, we got to be present, whether it's with our relationships with our family or our health, and that really hit home, man. Was this the biggest reminder of all?
Yeah, it 100% was. But one thing I've always done, Dan, baby, over the years, starting from boxing and through MMA, I saw how fast my schedule and how hard the pace was, and I made a pact with me not to forget me whenever I could. Because if there was no me, there is no thee. So I knew I had to keep me, and I always, even as a, I think going back to my days as a Marine, I always knew you take care of your body and your mind, it'll take care of you. That's the only way you can fight a war. So I always kind of knew that, and I didn't make time to, to change clothes and hug and kiss the family all the time. But I always made time to stop and think and say, you know what, I need to check me, or I need to go put gas in the tank so I can keep up this journey.
Well, Bert, you've already touched so many people in so many places, and with the zero cancer, you're going to touch more. But, for what it's worth, that piece of advice you just shared just touched me, so thank you.
Oh, man, it is absolutely my pleasure. And, I still got that bracelet you guys gave to me last year. It's actually swinging on the leg of, I got that Lifetime Achievement Award from Fighters Only. That's the other award that's right there that I'm still trying to figure out how to open and close it, but I'm going to cherish it for life, baby.
I'll show you the little trick to it.
Bert, if I may ask, when you talked about you sensed something might be wrong, you called it discomfort, but at some point did you reach physical pain? And if so, how did it match mentally what you were going through, the mental anguish you were going through? Like, did you suffer and just not tell anyone, or was your positivity able to conquer both the physical pain and the mental anguish?
Well, I had discomfort because, like anything, when something's not 100% the way it normally is. I never had real pain, but it was just a little discomfort because I'd sit down or I'd scream and yell and I'd get a little ache, every now and then, and I'm like, you know what, that doesn't feel right. And that kind of triggered a little maybe I need to get that checked because it doesn't feel right. And, not, being on the road all the time, I always had access to Z-Pack in case I got a cold. Every now and then, if I got a pain or I heard something I had, a couple Percocets maybe or something. And it was not that kind of pain that those things got rid of. So I knew the discomfort was something. But I never went through any real type of pain or misery. The shock of finding out that I had cancer was probably the most pain that I went through. Wow. Because when I realized that, I just never thought that that's something that I would hear. And I always, not that I thought I was invincible, but I knew how to sustain a grueling schedule, how to sustain, there was a time I did 3 shows in 1 week, between Vegas and California and Brazil. I knew how to sustain that. And then all of a sudden, there was something there that said, you know what, now I got control. You need to quit because I got you. Mm-hmm. That shook my core a little bit. That kind of shook my core a little bit. Like fighters. A fighter doesn't realize the fight he's in, or the pain or the hurt until the bell rings. Mm-hmm. While he's in it, it doesn't matter. He just keeps rolling. But when that bell rings and you got a minute on that stool, you get a little time to digest. You're like, man, shit, this is tougher than I thought.
Yeah.
But you say it inside. Well, when that doctor told me that, and I didn't have to go on the road, and I had that kind of shook me to the core. But I started working again with Alliance MMA. Mm-hmm. I was the director of operations, and I became the executive vice president of operations. And Alliance MMA vets regional promotions around the country. So my job is to go and to sit and evaluate and yada, yada, yada. So the company would go out and buy these companies, and I had to go and evaluate. Well, it got to a point where they wanted me to go on a Wednesday, on a Tuesday, and I couldn't go because I was taking radiation treatment, but I couldn't tell them or didn't tell anybody.
Oh, wow.
But then when it got to a point where I kept saying to them, I can't go, then I had to say, you know what, I got to tell them why I can't go.
Yeah.
Because my radiation was every morning at 7 o'clock from Monday through Friday. And I'm going to tell you something. Those people are amazing. They have a schedule, and when they tell you 7 o'clock, like Bert Watson, 7:01, you're late.
Uh-huh.
They want you up on that table at 7 o'clock because they got a guy waiting at 7:15, 7:30, 7:45. Guys sitting in the lobby waiting for you to get off of that table. So whenever that schedule, you did it. So I was on there every morning at 7 o'clock from Monday through Friday. Now, Friday I could have missed because they would put that date on the end of my schedule. But I couldn't miss 2 days in a row. So finally I had to go to, I went to Rob Hadak and I went to Paul Danner, and I had to tell them, listen, this is the deal why I can't make those trips. And they just kind of looked at me and understood and said, do what you got to do. So I would do what I had to do, and I would leave maybe on a Thursday night and miss one Friday, and that Friday was back on the end. That's why I had 60 days of complete radiation. It's and laying up on that table with that radiation going through my body, that hit realization real quick.
Yeah.
But amazement at how far we've come medically, that I was diagnosed, at a high stage. My prostate level was high, and I laid up on a table without surgery, without very much pain. I got nauseous afterwards sometimes. Some days I didn't feel right afterwards. And when it was done, I had to sit down for about an hour or so to kind of get my vision or whatever.
Right.
But the amazement that treatment took care of it without invading or incisions or anything in my body, and I was still able to keep going, because surgery, I would have had to stop. Ain't no way in hell I could have kept my schedule with surgery, something to slow me down. So,
are you back fully with Alliance as of this moment?
Yes. Honestly, I never stopped.
Okay.
I never stopped. I kept my schedule. When I had to go see somebody, I would leave on a Thursday night, catch a flight out Thursday night. I was there Friday. I'd leave Sunday, was home Sunday night.
Gotcha.
So I'd miss one day. But my schedule never stopped. I never slowed down. Anything I did in the privacy of my home with my wife by myself. But once I walked out that door, I was Bert Watson again, and I kept the schedule. And still to this day, still rolling on that schedule. And now the schedule has slowed down a little. It'll pick up in March, but no, I didn't miss the schedule. Didn't slow down on it.
Bert, let me step aside from speaking about this for just a second. I wanted to ask you, for example, today there's fights in Brazil for the UFC. A few fighters didn't make weight. How would you have tackled the morning weigh-in? Do you think, I mean, everyone felt like this was a good thing, and it sounds like it is, but a lot of fighters have complained, hey, man, I don't want to go to bed at weight. I want to wake up and work that off. I need that night of sleep. Do you think it's a good idea? Do you think that they should maybe go to Thursday night weigh-ins to get back that evening feel?
Well, let me say this, is that they have always had morning weigh-ins. You just never knew it. When I was there, when Matt Hughes, was it Matt Hughes or was it Joe Riggs? Matt Hughes fought Joe Riggs at one point, and I think one of them missed weight. Way back.
It was Riggs. That's right. He stepped in for Carl Parisian, yeah.
Okay. At that point, I said never, ever again. So what I did was I started instituting, when the guys got off the plane, first thing they did was stepped on the scale. I checked their weight. Then, for weigh-in day, I had a time between 8 and 11 that everybody could come and get on the official scale, so I got no surprises at 4 o'clock in the afternoon. We've been doing that with the UFC since that fight. So it was always a part of the system. When I left, then they started, and I always called it the weight check or pre-weigh. I'd have the scale. I would fit them for their gloves. I had my music, that Burt music, OG music, blasting. They would come and get on the official scale, so that they knew. And sometimes, I'll tell you honestly, guys would leave me 9 o'clock in the morning needing to lose 8 pounds, 9 pounds, 7 pounds, but they knew they had the time to do that. When I left, what they did was they took that morning time frame, and instead of it being just a weight check, they made it the official weigh-in, the official weigh-in time. I agree with that. Now, why in the hell a guy doesn't make weight? All they got to do is push their schedule back. I think that now that they're having that weigh-in at 9 o'clock in the morning, maybe they should do that pre-weigh the night before, so somebody can see where they are before they go to bed.
Yeah.
Maybe do that like 3 or 4 o'clock in the afternoon. If somebody sees he's 11 pounds, he's got, before he goes to bed, to try to lose, go to bed and get up. And honestly, my opinion is you start with putting a system in place that you can monitor that shit. You got to monitor it so you'll know it.
Yeah.
If you know a guy's 13 pounds or 12 pounds 2 days out, then you know what? Then you know he's the one you need to stay on. And if you stay on them, they'll listen to you. I don't know what the system is now, but I agree with the early weights, but I do agree that you got to monitor and check that stuff, and you got to stay on them, 100%.
Yeah. All right. Well, thank you for sharing that. And again, we are extremely happy that you are cancer-free. Now, the process very, very, very painful to hear that you had to go through all that, especially now that you opened up on it outside of your video that you shared on zerocancer.org/Bert. But again, I guess the end result is you're cancer-free, and that makes us happy. And I think it's very important you're sharing your message of getting that checked out and being preventative with it, rather than waiting for the symptoms. So we will definitely be sharing that and
share that message as often as you can with all of the Junkie Nation and all of our MMA community family. Please, and any information you need, you can go to zerocancer.org/Burt. Is information of awareness, and they have the Twitter. They're on Instagram. Go check it out, baby.
God bless you, Bert. We'll talk soon, all right?
I got one more thing I need to say, baby.
Go ahead.
This is what we do and why we do it, baby. With Gorgeous George and Goes. We rollin'! Yeah!
There you go.
All night long.
And we're going to keep on rolling. All right. Thank you, Bert. Take care, buddy.
Thank you so much, gentlemen.
All right. We'll see you. All right, folks. We're going to take a break. That's Bert Watson, cancer survivor, man. Wow. Last 24 hours, just to think back goes that he was with us when he was suffering through this, Would have been nice to know, but he kept it to himself. He's a private man, but just to be able to, I guess, comfort him. I consider him not just a friend, but family.
Yeah, definitely.
And we were close with him, proximity for a good 48 hours. And putting it all together, you can tell now why he gave us, Bert Watson. We roll in Bert Watson, but at the same time, he also retreated when necessary, and it was because he was going through something like this. Terrible, terrible, but a happy ending for now. All right, folks, give him a follow on Twitter, @BertWatsonForReal, and get yourself checked out, especially if you're a male over the age of 40. And like Bert said, it's very prominent in African-American males. So we're behind a little bit on the commercials. We're going to take our commercials here, sneak in some calls and some news, another commercial, boom, boom, boom. We'll finish out the week. It's MMA Junkie Radio on Sirius XM Rush 93.
They can drink Mentos-flavored Diet Coke without their stomachs giving a single fuck. They are Gorgeous George and Goes. And this is MMA Junkie Radio.
All right, we're back. We're coming down the home stretch of another fine edition of MMA Junkie Radio. We do this show 5 days a week, 2 hours a day, live from the Mandalay Bay Resort and Casino Sportsbook. Now, if you're ever in town, you can come by and chill with us, hang out. We have some seats there and some headphones for you to listen to. So, just try and get here before the show starts. The show starts at 10 a.m. Pacific. And, again, it's a Monday through Friday show. Now, yesterday and today we started early, but that's very rare. So, most of the time, 10 a.m., we're here, myself, Goes and Dan. And you give us enough time, we'll do our best to have an MMA superstar here for you to meet. So, bring that camera. Now, Goes, Dan, and I, the last few weeks, we've been basically we've been doing an underdog parlay. It's just $5 each. We do it here, legally here at the Mandalay Bay. Just to inform you all, this week we're going with Munoz, Pedro Munoz, Anthony Smith, and Damir Hadzovic. So, root for us, won't you? It's only $5, 15 total. And we're 0-2, I think. So, we need to hit one of these soon. Now, personally, my three-teamer that I recommend for you all is the following. I really like Eric Anders to win. Now, he's a favorite. And any time I give you guys a parlay, I'm going to always give you an underdog as well. Because without the underdog, it's just not going to pay much. A $100 parlay. Everybody always uses the number 100, but not everyone can afford a $100 parlay. Some can afford a $1,000 parlay or even more. 100 just makes it easy because we can talk in terms of multiples of 10. But for example, if you only wanted to do 10 instead of 100, you just basically divide everything I'm about to say by 100. But on a fictitious $100 bet, I'm liking Eric Anders. Oh, we got this one back. Our $15 is going to pay $325. So we'll divide $325. That's almost $110 each if we hit this. I like it. All right, so the one I'm liking personally.
All right.
I like Eric Anders.
Okay.
I like Joe Soto. There's two favorites. The question is, who's my underdog? I like Desmond Green. Especially after this weigh-in fiasco. Now, I also like Anthony Smith because he's been on a roll. And Santos can be a beast when he's on, but when he's not on, he's very, very beatable. So I may actually go with Anthony Smith. Praceres, he's a tough little compact dude. He reminds me of Tyson Griffin a little bit.
Mm-hmm.
Desmond Green's only been beat by pretty good fighters, by the way. But because I followed him through Titan.
Yep. You're right.
So, but you guys wanted an answer. So you know what? I'm going to go big. I'm going to go with Anthony instead. Anthony Smith. Okay. Eric Anders, and Joe Soto. That's my three-teamer for you all.
That's a solid one. From the odd sheet you gave me, I went with Eric Anders, who is parlay is a recommended parlay piece on my betting article that should be hitting later today, Friday.
And so that's who you picked to win the fight, right?
And so I picked to win the fight too. Yeah.
Why do you think he's going to beat Lyoto Machida?
Oh, well, hopefully they read the breakdown with the video of us attached. We had our special guest, Eric Nixick, joining us because, in short, because I feel like I've explained this one like so many times, but because it's the headliner fight. But in short, it's basically Machida's 0-3 against UFC Southpaws. He's suffering 3 knockout losses in a row, all to Southpaws who could strike, have knockout power, and who could take things to the ground. That's Eric Anders. He's better than just a football player. He's probably going to win.
What about Munoz and Dodson? Give us a quick one there.
That's a really close fight. It's really inflammatory. It kind of goes opposite of what you said because you guys are on Munoz and we're on it for our parlay play.
I may have taken.
And I went Dodson.
Did you on staff picks?
Well, for our collective. I meant for our collective underdog parlay.
Oh, right.
I actually picked Dodson. So again, if you want my picks, go to my analysis on MMA Junkie. Got a bunch of stuff as per usual up there for you. But for Dodson Munoz, like I said in the video, this is one of the more tighter fights of the card. I would avoid playing it just in general, especially leaving it out of a parlay. I might even.
And that's smart for you to say, Dan. I'll tell you why. You've heard it by many pro gamblers. Sometimes the best bets you make are the ones you just don't make. So sure, maybe someone lost an opportunity. It could be that Munoz starches Dodson or Dodson starches Munoz, and whoever's holding that winning ticket can go easy money. That's fine. But you're a guy that's broken down a lot of film, and if you have uncertainties, then the best play is just you didn't invest your money and you save it for another play. Because guess what? Next week there's more fights.
Yeah, 100%.
You know what? Or even just on this card, there's probably another 11 or 12. I haven't counted how many are on this one, but
better places to put your money, as they say, right?
Right. So what's a good one that you like?
Well, I'm glad you said that, because I actually put a fights to avoid section for that reason that George just said on the betting thing. I put a fights to avoid, and it's for that exact reason. If anybody's curious,
What he's talking about is MMA Junkie's front page. Dan writes the main event breakdown on Monday nights. You see it on Tuesday morning, correct?
Yep.
And the co-main event on Tuesdays that you see on Wednesday, and then throughout the week, all that's staggered. If you go to any of the pieces on MMAJunkie.com, they will have hyperlinks to all the previous pieces. But check it all out if you want to gamble. It gives you a lot of information. But what's the bad boy that you like?
All right, I'll reveal it. The article's not up, but let's reward the live listeners, shall we?
Yeah.
I already said Eric Anders. I tipped my hand. The only other parlay piece that I recommended for that was actually an overplay. The fight you mentioned, actually, Braceras and Green. I like both guys, and George made up a great point, because not a lot of people give a lot of respect, even the odds makers, to Desmond Green, who, like George said, he's only lost a top competition. He doesn't get finished. He's a really good defensive fighter on the feet, standing. Same with Braceras. They both have a propensity to go to decision. They're meeting. It's an important fight for both. Green has to bounce back. Braceras on a 5-fight winning streak to make a statement, but now he kind of has to get himself out of the hole he just dig for missing weight for the third time in a row. Nevertheless, even more of a reason we're going to see a moderate approach. The over, which is taken in most houses, is a safe look. And then the only straight play I took, Hadzovic is my favorite underdog. He's a part of our underdog parlay that George just mentioned we played. And the only prop that I played, I give some love to Marlon Vera, who would be in my three parlay piece here. Hadzovic, Eric Anders, and Marlon Vera. Marlon Vera minus 145 comeback. Douglas De Silva de Andrade plus 115. I like Marlon Vera, man, especially after the interview you just did with us, and we're kind of seeing that mental maturity, right, guys? And along with the physical maturity, so I think he gets it done there.
How about you guys? You got a 3-teamer?
I ended up going Eric Anders, John Dodson, Marlon Vera.
Okay.
They're all favorites, but they're not huge favorites either. So I felt pretty comfortable with that. But if you're going to force me...
Minus 145, minus 270?
Close to 2 to 1.
145, 155, and 270.
So normally a 3-teamer, 100 pays 600. Yours will pay about 400, if I had to take a guess.
And then I'm going to...
Still 400.
If I had to take an underdog,
or
though,
10 pays 40 for those that don't want to play 100. Yeah, me too. He's been on a roll.
Yeah,
this is the best he's been fighting in his career. And he's got a little bit of swag and confidence. He feels disrespected because I think a lot of people unplugged, with a few of his losses coming over from Strikeforce.
Yeah.
Like they just kind of hopped off the train, so he's had a little bit of a chip. But he's actually a pretty interesting fella, and anytime we've had him on the show, we've had a good spot with him. Let's take our last break. You're listening to MMA Junkie Radio on SiriusXM Rush 93. Stay close, and we'll be right back. We'll keep talking about UFC Fight Night 125, and we need to give our Super Bowl predictions as well. So we will unleash those on you when we come back.
They are the stretch marks on the underbelly of the MMA community. But hey, stretch marks are the new tats. They are Gorgeous George and Goes.
All right. Let me tell you some last-minute Super Bowl stuff that's going on. It is Super Bowl week, and Barstool Radio is bringing their own unique flavor to the big game between the Patriots and the Eagles. Enjoy live interactive shows from Cowboy Jack's in downtown Minneapolis all week long from El Presidente Dave Portnoy, KFC, Pat McAfee, and Big Cat. Listen to Super Bowl 52 coverage that's designed by the Common Man for the Common Man on Barstool Radio, on Power 85, and anytime on demand with the SiriusXM app. Want to thank all of our guests for the week. Get that out of the way. Start off with Eric Nixick, Dustin Poirier, Anna Hulaton, Brendan Fitzgerald, Ben Wynn, Colby Covington, Joe Lazon, Rob Font, Cory Sandhagen, and Bert Watson. We have the Super Bowl that's upon us on Sunday, and we will make it quick. I just want to let everybody know I'm on Team Eagles. It's not my team, but I have to root for someone. I have to make it interesting. I'm not just going to sit here like a Momo and wear a cap that says NFL.
I've seen that before.
Do you?
The worst one is I've seen somebody that wore NFC. It just said NFC. It was an NFC jacket. He just loves the NFC. But then last year's Super Bowl, somebody had a jacket that just said NFL. It was the NFL logo. He just loves football.
What do you think of the people that wear their own team jerseys, even though they're out?
I'm okay with it.
I know. I was thinking of doing that just because, for one, I had this knee injury.
I do it for March Madness.
So I didn't come into the studio anyway much this year, so nobody really, I just didn't get to sport it. Anyway, I'm on the Eagles, plus 4.5. Go Eagles. How about you guys?
I'm going to go with the Patriots.
Patriots?
Yeah.
All right. You want them to cover?
But not go Patriots. I'm just, I'll take, because I like money, I'll take the Patriots.
All right. And how about you, Dan? Tell them, do you give a fuck?
I'll go with the Patriots. I love me some Boston sports teams and that. So
how about you, Danny Elkers? Do you give a fuck about the Super Bowl?
I do. I'm super torn because a big chunk of my band is from Philly, so they're really gung-ho about the Eagles, but I always use Tom Brady on my fantasy football teams, and he usually always wins for me.
Okay.
So I'm really torn. I would like to see the Eagles win for my band, but I'd also like to see the Patriots win one more time because I think they're going to stick around not too much longer as a team.
So I may have
Belichick and Brady.
All right, thank you, Danny, for sharing that. I may have blown it here. Did you still want to do this John from Seattle thing, or are we over it?
Yeah, whatever. It's just a funny story about you being Bobby Knight.
Me? Oh,
yeah.
Okay. We can save it for another day then. Yeah. All right, we are just going to exit on time here. Plus, we have another show coming up. So enjoy the weekend. Enjoy the fights. Keep it locked on MMA Junkie throughout the weekend. And, again, go Eagles. Go Man U tomorrow. And we got to get the hell out of here. Be champions, everybody.
If you see it once.